have a report from Ms. McElroy.
She will be.
Here. Nothing on the consent agenda and nothing under public hearing. Under new business, we have consideration action on approval of the Snellville Tourism and Trade Association Agreement for 2014. Any changes, anything we need to know about?
Are there any questions on anything there? We added Brian's participation in the process there, since we have a PIO, and everything else pretty much stays the same.
I think at a previous meeting, I had mentioned about the Convention Bureau, and so I did follow up with Ms. Anders. I received conflicting information, and so I doubt that council will want to go forward with it, but the question I asked was it actually 2% or 2 mills of the several mills that we actually collected? And her response was 2%, and then I clarified, and then her response was, well, we call it 2 pennies of the 7 pennies collected, 2% of the 7%. So if 50,000 were collected, total 7% equals approximately 14,000. So that is a lot different than 2%.
I think
She gets 2 points.
basically
Of the
we get a
7
quarter
points.
of our 8%,
Correct.
which I think is just too high. If it was 2% of the budget, I think that's something to.
Right. I was thinking $2,000 or somewhere around there. So anyway, that's why I haven't followed up with that. Item B, consideration action on resolution to establish a City of Snellville council policy for processing appointments to the city boards, commissions, and authorities of the city. Councilman Wicks?
This is the same thing we were discussing at the last 2 meetings. Basically, it just sets a policy where when applications come into City Hall, they'll be directed to the committee or authority or board that the person's applied to. They will get those applicants, and then when there's an opening, they will make a presentation to council and make their recommendations to the mayor, and the mayor makes them.
Questions? We then have consideration action on the street sign inventory with Clark Patterson. I think Dave told us about this last meeting or 2 meetings ago. It's roughly $14,000.
It is, it's $14,325. I'm sorry, I was not here but I asked Gay to go ahead to kind of whet your appetite a little bit and give you some background information. This really is just another layer of the mapping that we have undertaken for all of our infrastructure. It is something that we really don't have the staff or the time to do. CPL is our on-call engineer. They put together what I thought was a very reasonable number for putting all of our street signage on our infrastructure inventory map. And I think we probably will save some of that down the road if we proceed with any type of comprehensive signage system, wayfinding, and then it usually gets down to the street signage level. I think we'll save some of that back at that time. So I think it's Public Works' recommendation and mine that we proceed with this agreement with Clark Patterson and Lee for this amount.
How long a process is it? How long do they expect? What do they give us
I don't believe they gave us a timeline of how long it would take to do the entire project.
When I talked to Rich, we've got 100 miles, 100 lane miles basically of streets. And he said, it's probably going to take 4 to 6 months.
Okay, I didn't know. I
So
didn't know
it's
if
not
this
going to be
was an 18-month
tomorrow.
process or
Yeah.
whatever.
So
And where's the money coming from?
it's coming from our it's a consultant line item. We had $60,000 in a consultant line item, and because we've really only been able to do some major projects, we have a big balance left, way over half. So that's where we come from.
No question? Thank you. D, consideration action on award of bid for zooming
Optic pole camera.
optic pole camera.
This is, this year we budgeted $17,500 in our capital expenditures in stormwater. And I guess we had a pretty good estimate. I think we estimated around 15,000 for this camera. And it came in, the low bid came in, I think, at slightly over that, 15,225. This is a technological marvel that keeps our employees out of manholes. Craig, give them a little background. I mean, this.
Yeah, the camera has the ability to go 24 feet into the catch basins. It has the full ability to zoom up to 400 feet through the pipe, whereas even in the manhole, if you can see 40, 60 feet with the light and get some kind of condition assessment, you know, that's about all you can get with the camera, being able to go through there, measure the distance if you have any major issues that either A, it could see any major turns to where you could possibly do a lining job and save time or money or be more efficient. The camera can, you know, basically go through there, measure, you can see where the issues are, and then also the safety aspect of having a man 12, 15 feet in a hole and having additional employees there.
But if we needed that type of camera work done before we contract.
We would have to contract that out. Yeah.
We get this, I'm sure, capable of video recording,
Yeah, it's all,
recording and digitalizing.
it has it's all self-contained right there on the pole camera. And you can record or not record, and then you just USB download. You also can use it probably during bid processes to go through there, show the contractors issues with, different types of.
And is this money gonna come out of stormwater then?
It is, it's in the capital improvements account.
When we did the survey of the pipe underneath the dam, it was the same kind of.
They used a more high-tech camera that had basically like
It was mobile.
It was a mobile that went through the pipe.
Right.
This, of course, yeah.
Stationary zooming in and out.
Yeah, basically this you put into the catch basin, it can go up to 400 feet.
But that's what I was gonna say, though, if we had had this, I mean, we wouldn't have had to have waited on the camera crew to come in. I mean, you put it down there and you get a pretty good idea of what you've got. So, but the big savings to me is potential workers' comp issues down the road. It's amazing to have employees who are willing to go into some of these spaces, but it is not wise. So, that's where it pays for itself.
What type of warranty comes with the camera? I mean, it seems like you're going into tight spaces that we tend to get
Well,
damaged.
It's not going
well,
to.
no, it's going into catch
Drops
basins
in a
that are
manhole.
6 foot or 10 foot wide, the camera is itself.
Item E, consideration action on Taos versus City of Snellville, civil action 14A00747-10, Superior Court, Gwinnett County, withdrawal prayer for attorney's fees and expenses of litigation and counterclaim. And I have to renew my objection to this being on the agenda because the city is not a party, and I don't believe this is a proper agenda item.
Mr. Powell.
And this is just from the hearing Friday week. The judge just asked that the parties mutually dismiss their attorney's fees claims. There was a longer statement that went with it, but that's the target of his request. And you have in your counterclaim inside what I call a counts 2 case is a prayer for attorney's fees. There's not a count claim for bad faith. The request is that you give me permission to withdraw that in the hearing, and the concession would be I get to stay on as the attorney, and it's the cost savings and preferences of counsel get honored that way. So that's what we're trying to achieve.
The work session agenda, we have any correspondence to review?
The correspondence really pertains to the opportunity zone application down below, so I'll get to that.
said we need to have exec session.
Outline that.
Okay. That brings us to our discussion items, appointment of Kathy Martis. To the Snellville Public Arts Commission. I think all of y'all know Kathy. Her application has been in front of you before for appointment to the Arts Commission. It was denied previously, but now we have a vacancy on the Arts Commission. She does live out of the city of
I was
Snellville.
denied because she was outside the city.
Right, but one of the people that resigned
Right.
lived outside the city, so she is capable. She put on Christmas carols. I think she attends the Art Commission meetings for the most part, so she is familiar, and I plan on putting that on the next council agenda.
I think this goes to our resolution tonight. Here's a lady that knows exactly what she's getting into, certainly qualified, very familiar to the committee now. The committee knows her, they know what she's capable of. So I think we'll see, just by, and this could be a good test case for us, I'm willing to bet this is an appointment that lasts a long time, that someone's very fruitful, works with that committee. I mean, this is what our goal is. I think it just goes to prove it. So if we do it,
You're in favor of this?
We actually talked about it at our last meeting and unanimously said, yes, she's somebody we'd like to see on.
Even though she's boss?
Well, we gotta put up with her.
Okay.
Update on opportunity zone.
We've stayed in contact with DCA and our consultant, Bleakley, the Bleakley Company, and I have two letters. One from our consultant, Jonathan Gelber, who's on the staff there. He writes Eric, he says, "I'm sorry to say I've got nothing to report on the DCA OZ front. Since our last round of emails, we've had 2 clues as to DCA's status, neither of which is illuminating. We submitted another OZ application about 2 weeks ago, another community. DCA responded almost immediately with the same form letter they sent to you in December. Another client with an outstanding OZ application has been trying to set up a meeting with Commissioner Corbin, but she has not been responsive to their invitations. We will keep at it and let you know what we find out." The other piece of correspondence is from DCA staff, and basically says, and this is the program manager, who I assume reports directly to Gretchen. And basically she says, "At this point, the program is on hold while Commissioner Corbin reviews the program and all in-house applications to ensure that the Department of Community Affairs designates the most appropriate redevelopment areas while acting in the most fiscally responsible manner. I'm unsure when the temporary hold will be lifted."
Did
So-
we get our application, I understand there was a moratorium placed on the program, but did we have our application complete before the moratorium was
No,
placed?
before.
Do you know what that, can you get me that completion date?
What would you like? The
date that-
submittal date?
Mhm. I know there were some issues that we had with the application, so this one we had it not just submitted, but fully completed.
Sure.
Anybody else have questions?
My understanding that this was shut down after our application was submitted. They changed the ground rules after we had submitted. Is that correct?
That's right. I mean, we got the letter.
Well, after submitted.
I'll get the exact dates for everybody.
Next, we have town green proposals. I put this on here at the last, I think it was the last council meeting. I think Councilman Howard had on the regular agenda the discussion for the town green project, and we have received 2 proposals, and I had asked for copies of those proposals to be put in our mailboxes. In looking at those proposals, they were bids essentially to do design work, and they roughly were around $12,000, I think, for that design work. We have previously already paid for design work. I went back and had Karen found the emails, the minutes where the mayor and council, and I think Councilman Witz and Councilwoman Bender were on council then, approved Piper O'Brien to do design work for the town green. We paid roughly $10,000 for that design work. And then we paid another $10,000 to Winter Construction for them to do cost estimates. That was separate from the light installation. Originally, I had been told that the same company that did the town center charrette did the town green. Well, that's not accurate. It wasn't Piper O'Brien, it was Clark Patterson did the town green and Piper O'Brien did the town center. So, you know, I previously shared with the council the design that Clark Patterson came up with. I think it is cost effective for us to work on that design rather than starting over. I don't know, unless you just have huge objections to the design we already have, I don't know why we would pay another $10,000 to start over again.
Well, if we pay $10,000 for what I've seen so far, I don't think we got a very good value, because all I've seen is some pictures.
I forwarded you several emails that we had back and
But
forth.
everything that I got, there's nothing in there that quantified me that this was a plan that could even be implemented, based on what I saw. Has anybody else seen that?
They were all drawings and renderings.
But there was never a plan approved by council since I've been on council. I don't know, maybe it was before me, but we never approved the plan. I know that when there was plans back and forth when they were talking about putting a pavilion on the town green, or a bandstand, or whatever you want to call it, and that went back and forth. There was nothing ever got approved on it. And, we also have a change now.
We voted on the contract with Clark Patterson
Well,
for
we may have voted the contract with the
$10,000.
design, but we never agreed on the design.
We did agree on the design, and then we contracted with Winter Construction to come in and do the cost estimates for the design. And Karen can pull those minutes up.
I'd like to see them.
I would like to see them as well. So right now, we're 75, one is $7,500 to kind of look at the whole thing and put it back into perspective, you know, after 3 or 4 years. And the other one, I think, it looks somewhat like an à la carte menu that we can pick and choose a few things, so.
Well, you know, and if you feel documents are missing from Clark Patterson, then you can ask staff to get those. They should have it on file, but we've already spent the money on a design, so I, you know, I can put it out there. I don't think it's wise
I
spending
keep hearing we
taxpayers'
spent the money, but I haven't seen anything, so.
Okay, well, you can go and ask for a copy of the check as well. So,
Mayor, in your email, was that included? Was the design, the actual, was there a topo survey done and a design?
there's two separate.
Because a big part of these proposals are the survey work.
There were two separate,
I don't think there was any kind of topo
Contracts.
done. It was just,
I never saw
it was
Nothing-
just some
there's nothing in the
renderings
stuff
of
that I got.
ideas. We did a little brainstorming
No.
session, and then they came back with some drawings. We talked about those. They went back and did a few other changes. And then it was just dropped from there. At the time, we couldn't start anything because it was gonna run into the farmer's market, and it just kind of fell by the wayside.
Maybe the
well, we
design
did
is
the
over
lights.
something.
We put the lights.
We
let
did the
Jerry go ahead
lights.
and do the lights.
Right.
And
Those are the only two things that I found. We paid Winters $9,500 for the electrical design,
on
and I
October-
saw that work product.
on
And then Faith Electric did the installation of the lighting and then the 200 amp services. I saw that work product. That's all I had.
On October 25th, 2010, item G on the agenda was the town green proposal. And then in 2010, and end of 2010, beginning of 2011, we paid Piper O'Brien $11,900 for town green design. And then we paid, I don't have the Winter Construction information in front of me, but we paid Winter Construction when they were constructing the police department. I think it was another $10,000 to do cost estimates for the design.
I haven't seen any of that.
No, I'd like to see those things too. Because again, I don't know what we paid $10,000 for design for, because we never got anything that was anywhere near a design. And we just got renderings is all we got.
And so maybe it's that we haven't gotten what we paid for, and we need to
I
go back to
think
them, but
that's
we need,
right.
before we spend any more money, we need to see what we have and, you know, what we're possibly owed.
Well, I would still like, and don't disagree with that, but I'd still like staff to continue looking at these proposals, Butch, and see which one of these makes the most sense. And
Sure,
we'll-
and I'll get you copies of the latest one also. But is it CPL or is it Piper Bryan?
Yeah, and I got
Piper-
confused, it's Piper O'Brien that did the town, I get the two back and forth. According to the email that I got last week from staff, it's Piper O'Brien
That did the,
that did the town green, and CPL did the town center.
we don't want that. We're talking about.
And what was the date of those minutes, please?
I don't know the date of the check, it just says between,
No,
it says
the-
between 2010, October 25th
2010.
2010 was on the work session agenda, and then we wrote a check to them. And it looks like we actually approved it, but we wrote a check for $11,900.
Well, wait a minute, where is what minutes are there where we approved the expenditure in the?
October 25th, 2010,
You did
we
that for the
approved
work
it during a
session.
work session,
That wouldn't,
and then we wrote a check to them for
Oh, well.
$11,900.
I have a problem with that. I mean, if we didn't approve it in a meeting, then we didn't approve a payment.
That, you know, I wasn't mayor then, I don't know what happened.
Well, you were on council with us, so you remember us authorizing a check for $11,000?
I haven't had a chance, I got that information Friday, I haven't had a chance to go back and look at the minutes myself,
Okay.
but that's what staff told me they
But
found.
I can't believe, because remember at that time, at one meeting, they came back and said it was gonna cost $41,000 for the pavilion, and then we asked them to raise the roof, and it came back at $171,000. So I don't see us approving anything based on that. I believe Mayor Overholtz and I got into a discussion on the cost of the beams.
Well, I
And there's
just,
emails going back and forth where they moved the beams and,
Yeah,
because of the line of
but
sight.
we never approved that. I don't remember ever approving any expenditure for any of that. We didn't approve it.
I don't wanna get into the farmer's market before we start making some changes or some improvements or whatever, so whatever we need to do to continue pushing forward, we need to push this on forward.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
This is recent.
Nothing in what I got. Just a
But
bunch
the
of
bottom
drawings.
line is, we haven't checked, we've just been moving forward and we haven't checked, we don't know what's out there, so it's, in my opinion, it's good practice to find out, maybe for staff to contact Piper.
Nobody disagrees, we need to find out what we wrote a check for $11,000 for.
Because in all my checking, those are the only two things, the only work product, other than those, like, what was presented as free drawings, the free renderings, the renderings that didn't, those are the only
Right.
things that I,
That's all I remember.
that's all I've come across.
We all know we've discovered some things we didn't know from years past, so this won't be any different. So let's get to the bottom of it, make a decision, move on.
Things have changed though since then. I mean, even with that design, now you have the monument being built where the way that was designed before, that vertical piece that goes up at the end would be right below the light side of, line of sight of the memorial. I mean, it just doesn't work now with the memorial there. So I mean, even if it is there, it's not really applicable to what we want to try and do now.
And, you know, we talked about at a different work session, previous work session, we don't need the bandstand now that
Right.
we purchased the mobile
Right.
stage.
So-
So there have been design changes, but if we already have a company that has done the design work and we've paid a significant amount of money to, it may be more cost effective to go back to them and ask for some design changes rather than bidding this out. When I thought we were making bids, I thought we were making bids because the cost estimates of the construction had changed. I didn't realize we were making design bids until I received the packet from staff, so.
Well, let's, again, we spent money, let's understand why we spent the money, what we got for our money, and then we can go from there.
Yeah.
I just, I'm the last one at this table that wants to spend money we ain't shouldn't spend. I think I've made that perfectly clear in the last 2 years I've been on this council.
We'll move on, city-owned
Next to that.
property list. I think we received a list 2 meetings ago, title exam list, and in looking at it, it was different than the list we received from staff, and the staff list was based on the tax digest, but the staff list, we got, I think, in July 26th of 2012. And the staff list is why we ended up doing the title exam. So what I'm asking is just that staff go back and try to reconcile these two lists and find out what the differences are. You know, I know that the title exam didn't do, you know, the police department and buildings we knew were owned by the city.
Right.
But there seemed to be maybe some smaller parcels on the tax digest list as well.
And John had started on this before he left, so we're picking it up and see what we come up with, see where the discrepancies are.
Does anybody have any questions or anything to add to that? Eastside Medical Center's request to use a mobile stage on April 26th. Councilman Witz?
Yeah, so this is a request by the hospital, they'd like to use, I'm quite right, I believe there's another
From the
outstanding
Methodist Church for May 17th for a community event.
And we allowed it for the Baptist Church in the past, so I think we just need to, I don't know if we have to do that formally, approve it, or whether it's something that, I thought it was being something that could be handled by staff with the lease agreement we have.
Well, I've talked to Mr. Morris, who is their marketing official now over at the hospital, and I told him I was going to run it by y'all tonight, make sure you were okay. I've drafted a lease agreement based on what we've used in the past with the folks who've used it, Grayson, Lawrenceville. The only cost will be for, they would pay an employee directly to open it and close it. We deliver it on a Thursday, pick it up on a Monday. And so, I mean, I certainly don't have any problem with it. They're an important part of our community.
They are a for-profit corporation?
Yes.
Is there something in our
That's
resolution
why-
or whatever that says,
That's why I'm,
I just don't want to run, I don't have a problem with it, I just want to make sure we don't do something,
So we charge them $1.
well, whatever we need to do, I just don't want to be in violation of what we've passed, so we just
I
need
don't
to
remember
address
what
it.
our resolution
It's a
said.
good caveat that the hospital have nonprofit affiliates that it could probably, I mean, that's a good,
Just ask
it
them
needs
to
to be
do
done
that.
with the
Give them one of them
nonprofit.
nonprofit.
Yeah.
I think that anytime anytime the stage gets used and advertise the city, that's what we bought it for. And the more use we get out of it, I think the better it is, the more value we get out of it. And certainly, I know it really, when the Baptist church, when they used it, really appreciated it. And I'm sure same with the Methodist church when they got it in May. So again, I think maybe we should set up something where council's aware of those things, but I don't think we need to be involved in the actual approval of it.
I'll
Unless you
just,
think we need to.
I'll play it. It just makes, probably makes sense for y'all to
For
approve the
Next
lease
consent
agreement.
agenda.
I'll put it on the next agenda,
Okay.
if that's okay, because it's, and I've told Mr. Morris that he's fine. I mean, I told him I'm 99% certain there won't be an issue there.
With that, that ends our work session, and during the work
Well, Mayor, before we, I'd like to add a discussion item. I received, I think we all received an email today from the, Mr. Andrew Thomas, is it?
Thomas, yeah.
Andrew Thomas, who is president of the senior class at Southland High School. He and his class want to do a project for the city, and they're asking us to come up with some ideas of things that they can do, kind of a service project, or something that would be recognizable, be done by them, and something that would benefit the city. So I would just like, of all of us, all we're aware of that, to see if we can come up with some ideas, maybe staff also, come up with some ideas, and perhaps put it on our work session for our next meeting, where we can set some of those, give them a list of things that we would consider, and see what they, let them choose what they would like from that. If we give them 4 or 5 different options, then maybe we can, I don't really know what their objective is, but I know if they're willing to volunteer for the city, we want to let them. And be thankful for them for doing it.
During the work session of the mayor and city council of Snellville, Georgia, Mayor Couch announced that certain matters will be discussed in a closed session of the meeting, and as closed session of the meeting to discuss pending and